I do.
Please be seated, Ms. O'Brien. We tell you that this is being audio recorded but not video recorded, so we won't be able to see you in the court's document, but we'll be able to hear your answers as long as you speak them.
Well, I got a big mouth, so you'll probably hear me.
Okay. For example, if you shake your head, you're not gonna have an answer.
Okay.
So I'm gonna ask you to be really careful, if you can be, about answering verbally, yes or no,
Okay.
all right?
Yep.
And that does not increase the volume of your voice, so you're gonna have to speak nice and loud.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Please give your full name for the record, spelling both.
Charlene O'Brien, Charlene, O'Brien, Obrien.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You may inquire.
Believe it or not, Miss O'Brien, I can hardly hear you, and I know it's because I got air blasting from the
Okay.
side, so I'm gonna
I'll
ask
try
you to
to be
talk.
louder.
Thank you.
Okay.
We just heard a lot of testimony about the O'Brien clan, for lack of a better term, living out on White Pine Highway out there in Morenci. And would you be a member of that group
Yeah, I own
living
the
out there?
property.
Okay, you own property out there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and your son is Brian O'Brien, is that correct?
Correct.
All right. In 2010, who was living in your home with you?
My husband, he's passed.
I'm sorry to hear that. Prior to 2010, well, strike that. Did you know John Skelton?
Yes.
How did you know John Skelton?
Family, my husband.
So he was related on your husband's side?
Yes.
And would your husband have been related to John's mom?
Sister.
That would be his sister?
Yes.
All right. How long had you known John prior to 2010?
Years. I didn't see him a lot, but I knew him for years.
And did you know Tanya?
Yes, I did.
And did you know Andrew, Alexander, and Tanner?
I sure did. They're awesome boys.
How often would you see John and the boys?
They would come out and we'd have a cookout on the weekends. Not every weekend, but a lot of weekends. And the boys would come out and play, and my husband would take them on the four-wheeler, and they'd romp around the yard and have fun. And, yeah.
Anytime that John came out, did he have the boys with him?
And Tanya, yes.
And Tanya, okay. Was there a point in time that it was just John and the boys, or just John coming to visit without Tanya?
No, I don't remember ever Tanya not being there. Okay.
Do you remember a time when John discussed some marital problems he was having with Tanya?
Absolutely, right at my kitchen table.
Do you recall when that began?
It was like a week before Thanksgiving, somewhere in that time frame.
A week before
I
Thanksgiving
believe so, yeah.
in 2010?
Yes.
And this is the first time you're hearing from John that there's some problems in his marriage?
Yeah.
And tell me about that conversation.
Well, he came to the house, and my husband and I were sitting at the table, and he said, I need to talk to you guys. So we said, what do you need to talk about? And he's like, I don't know what to do. And he was rambling on about Tanya this and Tanya that, supposed to be messing with their kids, which we didn't believe it. Still don't. And I said, then do the right thing and call the authority. He goes, oh, I already talked to Chief Weeks, and he ain't doing nothing about it. I said, well, that's not true, because when my granddaughters needed help from what happened to them, Chief Weeks and the Lenawee Sheriff, and they were all out there, my house, within 10 minutes. So I knew that was a lie.
Did you tell him that you knew that he wasn't being truthful?
Absolutely.
What'd you tell him to do then?
Tell the truth. What's going on, you know? And he said, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. And we said, don't do that. And he says, well, I'm gonna. And then he got mad at us, and out the door he went. And then I guess a week later is when I got a phone call from Chief Weeks asking if the boys was there. And I said, what boys? He goes, the Skelton boys. I said, no, I ain't seen them for a while. I go, why? And he said, they're missing. I said, oh my God. Yeah.
Prior to that conversation, you said it was at your dining room table, is that what?
Yes.
Prior to that conversation at your dining room table, when was the last time that you saw the boys?
It was before that. I never seen him again after that.
Okay, do you know approximately?
It was, I don't know, probably weeks, way before that happened.
You think,
maybe months before I seen the boys. I mean, I'm not sure.
so you're sitting at the table having this conversation. Do you recall who was all at the table?
My husband, myself, and John.
Anybody else?
Nope. And he'd already said he quit his job, and we said that was stupid, because it was.
Did he tell you of any intent to leave the state of Michigan?
Nope, because he knew we were not happy when he took out the first time with the kids. So,
During
we're
this,
the last ones to know about that.
during the time that he's having the conversation with you at the dining room table, is he also expressing any feelings towards Tanya?
Oh, that's all he talked about. He was like obsessed over her.
He was what?
He was like obsessed over her.
What was he saying?
Oh, I love her, and she don't love me. And we said, well, that sounds like a you problem, not a me problem.
Is this the same conversation where he's telling you that she's messing with the boys?
Yes. And I said, I don't believe that. I said, and the reason why is because she was the only one I could trust to take my 3 little granddaughters to watch after what they went through. She was the only person I could trust, and she was wonderful with them.
Okay.
And my granddaughters was happy with her.
Did you question his statements to you about loving her and wanting her back and wanting to be with her?
No,
Okay.
no. It was all about him, I think.
Were there times when you did other things with John, such as hunting, fishing?
Never.
Bingo.
I've never fished with him, and I've never hunted with him because I fish, but I don't hunt. So, no.
Do you know
I've
if,
never invited him for a holiday dinner. Never. So, but I'm the type of person, if you come to my house and we're eating something, and if you're hungry, come on in, because we always got extra, no matter who you are.
all right, we'll get to Thanksgiving Day.
Okay?
In a minute. So I'm going to briefly go back to the conversation at the dining room table.
Okay?
Is John saying that anything about custody of the boys at this time?
No, he just said he was taking matters into his own hand, and we told him, you're being dumb. You need to call the authority, because they will be there. I know from experience,
And
so.
and then you said he got mad and left the
Yep.
house?
He
And
wasn't there much longer, and out the door he went. We never heard back from him again.
I'm going to fast forward to Thanksgiving Day 2010.
Okay?
Do you recall what you did on Thanksgiving Day?
Made dinner, like I do every year.
Okay. And I believe you already testified, I just want to make sure I'm clear, you didn't have any plans for John to come over that
Nope.
Thanksgiving?
I've never invited him for dinner my whole life.
Okay.
Never. So, guess I'm the mean aunt. I don't know.
Do you know if anybody else, Lisa or Brian, had invited him over for Thanksgiving
No,
dinner?
they did.
Friday morning, November 26th. Do you recall that day?
I sure do, and I got the phone call from Chief Weeks.
Tell me about it.
It was early in the morning, and he called me to see if the boys was there, because he knew they'd come out and play. And I said, what boys? And he said, the Skelton boys. I said, no. I said, why? He said, because they're missing. I said, oh my God. And a couple of days later, my husband, he had bad health, and he got put in the hospital. And he heard about it from laying in the hospital bed, so he released himself out of the hospital when they were searching, when my son had him searching for the boys around their property and everywhere. And that's how he heard about it, because I didn't tell him he was too sick.
When you say on your property, were you searching on your property for the boys?
No, I was trying to get my husband maintained after he took himself out of the hospital, but
Okay.
everybody was around searching,
Okay.
you know, behind us, the 80 acres that I don't own behind us and across the road. And I just said, look wherever you gotta look. I'll help in any way I can. I said that from day one, and I still will to this day.
You said there's about 80 acres behind your house?
Behind us, yes.
Okay. And is that, what kind of landscape is that, terrain is that?
It's kind of wet back in the one section, I guess. They call it a swamp area,
Okay.
but I don't ever go back there, so.
Okay.
I mean, some parts are nice. You can actually walk to the neighbors through the woods, but I don't go back there.
And then there's also woods back there?
Correct.
Were you home at 6:45 to 7:30 a.m. Friday morning, the 26th?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall anything about that morning?
No,
At
the
that
only
period?
thing, my son said there was a bag on his porch, and I didn't even know anybody was there.
Do you
So-
recall approximately when, so when you say your son, are you talking about Brian?
Yes,
Do you know when Brian came to you and indicated there was a?
I don't remember exact
bag?
time.
Okay.
But
Did he
then I
get,
called the authority, and they came out to his house, and they collected the bag.
and were you
And
there?
opened it up.
Were you
I
there?
was standing out in the yard, yes.
Okay, what do you recall the contents of that bag being?
As soon as I opened it, I seen 3 little coats.
Did you recognize the coats?
I thought I did, but I wasn't 100% sure, but I only knew 3 little boys that had 3 little coats like that, and it was cold.
Okay. What 3 little boys did it make you think of?
Andrew, Alex, and Tanner.
What else do you remember seeing in the bag?
I thought I seen a couple toothbrushes in there, but I'm not positive, because I didn't like dig in the bag.
Do you remember anything else?
No, I didn't even want to look in there. Because when I found out the kids was missing, it broke my heart, because we love them boys.
Prior to finding out they were missing, did that discovery of that bag concern you at all?
Well, I didn't know nothing about it till all that happened, and it happened so fast.
Okay,
I
so you
mean,
find,
and I didn't even know he went to Lisa's, or if I didn't know. The kids found a container of Christmas stuff that was broke, and a sled, which I believe was Tanya's, and it's still hanging in my barn. And I kept telling them, take it to her. They never did. It's still hanging out there. I didn't do nothing with it because it wasn't mine.
was that on the porch?
No, that
The
was on
same
our
morning?
barn.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
wasn't left Friday morning, that's something
I
completely
don't know when
different.
it was left. I didn't even know it was out there. The
Okay.
kids are nosy, you know, they dig in
Okay.
everything when they're not supposed to be. And, hey, look, Grandma. I'm like, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember a cardboard box being left on Brian's porch
I don't remember a cardboard box.
or left at Lisa's house?
Yeah, when I talked to her and she said that John had left stuff at her house. So I called the police department again, and I told them, you know, that she had this stuff. And I said, do you want me to bring it up? And Lisa said, yeah. So I went to Lisa's, got it, took it up there, and there was stuff in the box. I think a few pictures, I don't remember, it's been so long.
Okay.
But I took it to the police department,
So,
because I was trying to help in any way I could.
so the police department came out to get the duffel bag?
Yes.
And then
I
later,
took
you
the-
learned that Lisa had some
Yes,
items that?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
and you took those to the,
I delivered them to the Muncie Police Department.
did you look, was it a box, a bag, what did you take?
I just took a box.
Do you
with
remember
the
what was in the box?
Recorder, and I really don't remember what was in there.
Do you remember if there
I
was?
heard there was horrible pictures and stuff like that, but I didn't
You
look.
didn't see for yourself, right?
No.
Okay. Do you remember a box of photos?
I remember pictures, yes.
Okay, not necessarily in a box or anything.
No, but I remember some pictures, yeah.
Did you remember a box of recipe books?
I can't remember I mean, I didn't search in the boxes. I was just trying to do whatever I could to help.
After Friday, the 26th, did you have an opportunity to talk to John again?
No, I never talked to him after that day. He sat at my table.
You didn't talk to him while he was lodged at the jail in Lucas County?
Absolutely not.
You didn't talk to him while he was in the hospital
Nope.
in Ohio? Okay.
Nope.
And you haven't talked to him since he's been in Lenawee?
Nope, and I hope I never have to. Because he ruined my life, my kid's life, my grandkid's life, and we didn't do anything. It wasn't fair.
Okay,
Still live that.
okay.
Enough's enough.
When you heard that the boys were missing on that Friday, did you contact any family in Florida to see if they had the boys?
No, I did not. Because I didn't trust them in the family anyway.
When you went to the Morenci Police Department to drop off those items,
Mhm.
can you tell me who went with you?
I went by myself.
Okay.
I was alone. I called them first, and they knew I was coming up there. There was a ton of people in there.
Do you recall if your husband spoke to John while he was either in the Lucas County Jail or in the hospital in
was-
Ohio?
He was going down to, I believe it was St. V's, is where he was, no jail. And the reason why, and I went, my daughter-in-law, my son, we went with him. And the only reason why we went is because he kept telling them too, if you come down here, I'll tell you where the boys are. So we went, but my husband never got a chance to talk to him, because when we got there, everybody come in, and that was the end of that.
Okay.
So we never talked to him.
Did your husband, to the best of your knowledge, ever receive any phone calls while you were present from John Skelton?
No, but I received a phone call while he was in there,
Okay,
because he told some guy, and the authorities checked it out, it was a guy that was in there, he told this guy where we lived, who he was, what we drove, and I was scared to death, because my husband at that time was in the hospital.
okay.
So a couple of the FBI agents came to my home, one was in my living room, one stayed back in my back bedroom, because I was scared to be alone, because he kept saying, well, I'm coming out there because John wants me to tell you where these kids are. And I was scared. I didn't want to be by myself. I didn't know. So they actually stayed with me till morning.
All right, hold on one second, okay?
Okay?
You discussed, or you testified that, about the discussion at the dining room table where John had talked to you about his concerns, and you told him to call Chief Weeks because
I
of
just
what
said,
your...
call the authorities.
Okay, and I believe you testified that something similar had happened in your family, so you kind of had experience with that. Is that correct? I don't want you to get into detail, just tell me if that was correct.
Correct. My
Okay.
granddaughters. Yeah.
But at that point in time, had that case been investigated already and gone, where was
Yes.
that at?
That was, by that, I had the kids. They got taken away, of course, because they were molested.
Okay,
And I got custody of my husband, I had the kids.
okay,
And Brian fought tooth and nail and everything he had to do to get his kids back, and he did.
okay.
Emily, she was 3 years old, he got custody of all his kids.
Do you remember what year that was in?
Oh, gosh. Well, let's see. She was 3. She's gonna be 23. Because her and Andrew was right there in age. I don't remember exactly what year. Just-
Okay, did you relay that to John, that
He
you were-
knew,
he-
Tanya knew. I mean, they all knew, and they felt terrible about it. Who could do that to a child?
I guess, let me clarify the question. Did you convey that to John, that you had reported this to the authorities and that they had investigated it and this was, they had been taken care of?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Judge, we approach briefly? Good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Okay.
I'm not going to be very long. We just want to get a few points out. Can you tell us about the conversation? Was at the dining room table?
Yes, I only
Okay.
have one dining room table.
Do you remember the date, ballpark? How long before Thanksgiving?
It was like maybe a week, not even a full week before Thanksgiving. It was in a week's time frame,
Okay.
yes.
And what were it, to the best of your knowledge? That was a while ago. What was the
Yeah.
contents? He was upset about Tanya?
Yeah, he was in a rage about her, and he had quit his job and just ranting and raving.
What was he ranting and raving? Do you remember any specifics?
Because Tanya didn't want him and this and that, and get over it.
So it was like his feelings were hurt, kind of
I
childish?
get very childish,
Yeah.
yes.
Were the kids around when this was happening?
Absolutely not. I'd never discuss nothing in front of a child.
Did you see him with his children interact at all?
Yeah, when they used to come out, and we'd have a cookout,
And
and
you
everything
have
was fine.
children and grandchildren of your own, correct?
I got 12 great grandbabies, and 10 grandkids, and yes,
So it'd be fair to say you know a lot about parenting.
I guess I do.
What was it like seeing John and his children? Was it a loving relationship?
Yeah, I never seen any problem. I never seen either one of them mean to their kids or anything. I mean, they were just good, loving little kids, well-mannered. And they loved coming out to our house to play, because they could get away with more stuff.
Did the kids seem to love their father?
Yeah, I think they loved everybody they met, because that's the kind of kids they were.
And did John seem to love them?
Yeah.
You said you were upset the first time he took the kids to Florida, is that correct?
Yes, I was.
So how did it all come about? Can you explain that to me, how it even came to your attention?
Well, I heard it through a couple people, that I seen it on the news, and I heard his sister was involved in it, which don't surprise me, and that's how I heard about it.
Who is John's sister?
Lucinda.
And did you say you heard Lucinda was involved in taking the kids to Florida?
No, I've always thought from day one. Well, yeah, she was involved in taking the kids. That was all said.
Well, what did you think from day one? What do you mean by that, ma'am?
That she helped John get the kids and go to Florida
Okay.
without Tanya's knowledge.
And what made you think that?
It was all over the news and everywhere
About Lucinda?
about him taking the kids.
Okay, but where did the Lucinda commentary come from?
Well, I didn't really talk to her much, because
Okay.
any word out of her mouth was a lie.
Okay.
So,
Because you testified a second ago that you thought Lucinda was involved from day one, is that correct?
yeah, I feel that till this day today. And I'll tell you why.
Please.
I feel this way about them. Because the one day, they thought they had a sighting of the boys, I believe in Prattsville, somewhere up there, off of Hudson, Michigan. And my husband and I was sitting there, and it came across the news that they thought they had a sighting of the boys. So I said, "Should we call your sister?" And he goes, "Yeah, but put it on speaker, and don't tell her I'm sitting beside you. I want to know what she's got to say." So I called, put it on speaker, and I said, "Hey," and she goes, "What's up?" And I said, "They think they got a spotting of your boys." And I think it was Pittsburgh. I might be mistaken, I have to look. And she's like, it ain't them. And right then I said, well, I don't want to use the word, but it starts with the B. They know more than what they're saying. And I felt that from day one. And I'll never change my feelings on that.
And when, do you remember the time frame that was, the year or anything?
Well, it wasn't too long when the boys were missing and everybody was searching for them.
So after 2010,
Yes, when they were missing.
it came across the news that there might have been a sighting of the boys in
Yes,
Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you look it up, you'll probably find it, and I'm right.
Did you talk to, I'm not questioning, man.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get a time frame.
Okay?
Talk to the police a lot during this investigation?
Anytime they wanted to talk to me, I was there to help in any
How
way.
often was that?
I don't know, maybe once a week, maybe once a month, maybe every 3 months. Whenever
Have-
they wanted to talk to me, I talked to them.
Have you talked to them recently?
Pardon?
Have you talked to them recently?
No. Any police? No.
When's the last time you think you talked to the police?
Well, I think last time I talked to the police is probably when he got sentenced for 15 years. So probably 15 years.
Okay. Nothing further, thank you.
Yep.
Nothing further of this witness, Your Honor.